So much to do and so little time to do any of it. Alina is in London, the baby is sleeping, so I have a very small window of opportunity for this week's episode to tell you 10 things I wish I knew before I started flying drones. Depth perception is much poorer than lateral perception. So let's say your drone is 500 meters away at the limit of visual line of sight. You will still be able to tell whether the drone is going from side to side. You can see it's going from side to side. What you can't tell, however, is the extent to which it's flying forwards or backwards. It's reached a threshold at which the human eye can no longer discern that information, and that has some serious implications in terms of keeping the drone safe and avoiding collisions with potential obstacles. Understand the impact of wind speed. Okay, so first of all, it's windier in the air than it is on the ground. Just because you think it's tolerable wind speed on the ground doesn't mean it's tolerable in the air. Second of all, understand that wind might only be going in one direction. So if you bomb it off in the direction of the wind, that wind is going to be working against you when you're flying back, and that could be an issue if you haven't taken account of your battery levels. Learn how to recover a lost drone. If you get your drone stuck up a tree, then assuming there's still a connection between the drone and your controller, you can use the DJI's Find My Drone function in the app, and that will take you to the drone. You can even make it beep to help you identify it. If, on the other hand, you completely total your drone into the side of a cliff like I did, and there's no connection, then you can find the last known GPS coordinates in the flight records to take you straight to the point of the incident. The drone ascends faster than it descends. Much as it's fun to rocket the drone up into the air in the space of 30 seconds, keep in mind that it will take ages to come back down, potentially. Now, given that most crashes occur because people run out of battery, that's something you're going to want to keep in mind. Land flying backwards with the drone pointed away from you. When the drone is pointed away from you, right is right, left is left, forwards is forwards, and backwards is backwards. So your intuition and instinct on the controller matches what happens with the drone in the air. So given that landings can be one of the areas where you're more likely to have an accident, play it safe, protect your investment, fly backwards, and land safely. Learn how to use the drone's app. When the drone is up in the air and you're taking great photos and great videos, that is the last place to be figuring out how to sort your return to home settings or your gimbal settings or your picture settings. You need to be able to quickly access those items in the menu, especially in a state of emergency. So do yourself a favour, familiarise yourself with the app. Learn how to use the drone's map. Barring any technical failures and assuming you have a cellular connection on your monitoring device or you've cached the maps for offline use, there's really no excuse for ever losing your drone, if I'm honest with you. Even if you've flown it miles and miles away and it's completely out of sight, which of course you're not meant to do, but even if you've done that, the map will show you exactly where the drone is relative to where you are, and all you have to do is point that red arrow back towards you and follow that in a straight line and you will be back home safely. Learn how return to home works. Much as return to home is a fantastic failsafe, if you don't understand how it works properly, it can still crash your drone. It could send your drone rocketing up into the canopy of trees. You could fly forwards into buildings if you haven't set the return to home height correctly. Check out all the information on return to home and make sure you have it set up properly for your particular shooting environment. Understand the battery warning system. Low batteries must account for most drone crashes. You get a 3-stage warning. The first one you can set yourself. It's the low battery warning. Might be set at 30%, 25%. Then you might have a smart return to home option where the battery gets to a certain point at which time there is only enough power to get the drone home. Then you're going to get a critical warning at which point the drone will try and land itself. You don't want to be down at that point if you're still flying over water. You need to understand how the drone responds. The different drones are different as well. Test it out before you take the thing miles away and get yourself in trouble. Battery performance is impacted by temperature. As a consequence, weather conditions have a big role to play on the performance of your drone. Did you know if it's very cold, then you want to be heating your batteries up before you put them into the drone? When you take the drone off, hover at a certain height, let the battery get up to temperature so your drone doesn't stand the risk of falling out of the sky on a sudden voltage drop. If you're standing in the middle of the desert, then you want to try and keep your phone cool because phones don't tend to respond too well to desert temperatures. Same would go for your tablet. So get to know your equipment, get to know your shooting environment, and figure that out before you just take your drone up. If you've learned any interesting lessons and you would like to share those thoughts, please do leave your thoughts in the comments below. We learn a lot from you and you learn a lot from each other in our comments below. We have a nice community there, nice thing going on, so do stay in touch there. Check us out on Instagram. We have nice photos and content on Instagram. Stay tuned for the next video, and as always, happy flying.